Welcome back to another episode. I am Kinsey Roberts.
And I'm Lindsay Lucas. Together, we are the Venue Podcast. So today's episode is a fun one and kind of a nerdy one, if I'm being honest, because I pulled a lot of data for this. But we are talking about niche venues and the upcoming trends that are supporting them.
Mhm.
Um, I have a little bit of a soft spot for this episode because I currently have two clients that support both of the different trends and niche venue models that we're going to be digging into today. And they're both success stories. So I am always excited anytime I get to gush over my clients. So, you want to get into it?
Yeah, I do. One thing I want to preface the episode is by saying that just so you guys know, I hope it's clear, we're not talking Lindsay actually said this before we hit record. We're not talking about niche weddings like the number of people. We are But those have been a trend, right? Like smaller weddings, smaller niche weddings, like micro weddings. We're not necessarily talking about like, hey, I have a venue and we host micro weddings. We get that micro weddings have been a hot topic. What Lindsay's actually talking about are venues who have specifically chosen to create from the beginning their structure as a micro niche venue or someone who serves a niche population, not just someone like me, for instance, Vista View Events. I have like this big white barn, who kind of like sometimes tries to like fit into the mold of micro niche weddings. You know what I mean? So, this is why this topic is so neat, I think, is that we're really talking about venues here who've made a conscious, intentional decision to make a niche business.
Yeah, yeah. And that's really the part that I want to hammer home too whenever we dive into the data and talking specifically about what this realistically looks like, because I can paint this picture for you with the client that I have. And I told them from the beginning that I was just so proud, and I'll tell their story in a minute, but I was just so proud of the fact that their plan A didn't pan out. Their plan B didn't plan out,
Hmm.
but they knew that they wanted to be a venue owner so badly that they were willing to look at the numbers, look at the data, and say, okay, what we had envisioned for our venue, the data doesn't support. But at the end of the day, we just want to be a venue owner and we believe in this business, in this industry. And so let's pivot and create what our market needs, right? Which was the exact opposite of what they were trying their hardest to build.
Mhm.
So again, I'll share their story in a little bit, but I was just really, really proud of the intentionality in the maturity of that decision
Mhm.
instead of falling into the sexiness of venue ownership, which is to build the great big thing, to have the flashy things, to have the interior designer come in and do all the things, which and I'm not saying anything negative about that because the majority of my clients do go that route,
Right.
right? And it's great, but we run a market analysis early on and the data supports that, right?
Right.
So anyway, let's dig into some stats. And I have a Google Doc pulled up. So if you see me reading, because I could not memorize all of these numbers, there's no way. So not worldwide data specifically for micro weddings, which let's define a micro wedding first off. Micro wedding is 50 guests or less, and elopement is just what you think it is. Bride, groom, officiant, maybe a witness or two, right?
Hmm.
Micro wedding is that next step. Anything above 50 is just a wedding. Um, so the not worldwide, the data on micro weddings, which 50 guests or fewer, it showed that it actually grew 23% year over year heading into 2026. And in addition to that, just as another data point, another source to support that, Pinterest reported a 33% surge in micro wedding searches for 2026. 33% is a big old chunk.
A big number. That's a big old number.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was kind of shocked. I really thought, COVID kind of changed the game as far as like introducing micro weddings and having their spotlight. And they didn't ever really truly go away, but I think that they did kind of take a back seat when things opened up again and things got back to normal. And we saw normal guest counts of 150, 200, 250. If you're in the South, probably around 400, right?
Mhm.
We like to host big old weddings down here. Um, so micro weddings never really went away, but I thought that the numbers would come back much, much lower than what they're
Well,
showing.
I agree. When you told me that 33% for Pinterest search coming back or increasing for 2026, I thought that was really interesting because I was like, my goodness, I didn't really feel like micro wedding search could increase by 33% because I thought we were like holding strong, you know what I mean, post COVID,
Yeah.
like, oh, it started back in COVID, but then it kept on, kept on keeping on. And so now when you told me that, I was kind of like, I wonder what it was. Obviously, we are post COVID. We haven't kind of had that. Like
Yeah.
in my brain, I was kind of thinking, what was it that brought this search back again? Because it's not an international pandemic. Is it budget? Is it the economy? I don't know. I don't have the answer, but like that's what I would want to riff on is what made those searches increase? Like what are people really looking for now?
Yeah, so going back to the primary source of both of these two, which number one was Pinterest, and then
Hmm.
also shared the Not Worldwide's report. What the Not is reporting on is that they found that 6 out of 10, so every 10 so they surveyed 600 engaged couples for this,
Okay.
and they found that 6 out of 10 reported that they were touched by tariffs. And
Hmm.
so the economy is definitely a big driver of this decision. And so they said that, like, of all 600 couples, the thing that was top of mind for them was economic concern.
Hmm.
4 out of 10 couples actually took action. They weren't just like, it wasn't just top of mind. They didn't just think about it, they didn't just consider it, but they actually took action on reducing things based on the economy.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
what that practically looks like in the report, it says that 33% were cutting flowers, decor, and guest lists. The average guest list was cut by 29 people.
Okay. So definitely an economy thing. The tariff thing is interesting to me, and I might misunderstand this, but I'm wondering if they misunderstand tariffs because the wedding
That's a good
industry is service based, so we don't have any tariffs.
point.
We're offering a service. Like tariffs didn't really impact Vista View events as far as the building, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
sure, if it was a year where I was ordering new tables or new chairs that were going to get shipped from overseas, like that would be tariffs. But so that
sure.
kind of makes me wonder if they're misunderstanding tariffs, but obviously we won't have the answer to that.
Yeah, no, I think you bring up a good point, but we're looking at everything through the lens of a venue. And I do
True.
know that, especially for like startups that I'm focused on, tariffs definitely touch things and had an effect. But
Hmm.
because we're looking at things through the venue lens, there are obviously other vendors, right, that are probably getting products shipped from overseas.
Florists probably, I would
Yeah,
imagine. I would imagine
florist
they
was,
got hit pretty hard.
yeah,
I don't know that
yeah.
for sure, but
Yeah, I don't either. I haven't
interesting.
talked to a florist recently, but I would assume so.
Interesting. Well, and it could have been like, hey, in my personal life, maybe. You know what I mean? Like in
Mm.
my personal life or in my job, I have been impacted and therefore I can no longer afford what I thought for this
Yep.
wedding.
Yeah, true. Good
Okay,
point. Good point.
cool. I got it.
Yeah.
Any other numbers that we should be aware of before we tell the story of your client?
Um, I mean, there's things that I want to like start getting into as far as on the opposite side. And this is definitely a bigger conversation. I mean, everybody has heard that we're definitely in a barbell economy right now, right? Like we're
Right.
either serving the budget-friendly couples or we're serving the luxury ultra luxe couples. There's not really any space left for middle of the road, right? Like
Hmm.
I'm serving that median budget that doesn't really exist anymore. You unfortunately have to pick a lane. Who are we serving? And commit to that and have your business reflect that in marketing and advertising and all the things, right? So I do want to like I want to talk about my client first, and then let's go to the clientele that aren't necessarily cutting back; they're just simply reallocating.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to like brag on my client for just a minute because they're so sweet. I'm not going to say their name. Most of you know who they are if you follow me on Instagram. I'm constantly sharing their stuff. But backstory, which I've kind of already touched on, is they contacted me. Oh my gosh, this was no. I'm trying to decide if it was BC before COVID or after COVID. It was close, one way
Oh,
or the
wow.
other. Yeah, and we were actually traveling to see some family, my husband and my kids and I. And I got her inquiry that came in, and she sent me like her address in that inquiry. And I was like, this sounds familiar. I plugged it into my Google Maps and saw that we were literally passing right through their town. So I never do this, never do this. But I grabbed her phone number off of the inquiry sheet, sent her a text, and was like, hey, this is Lindsay. We're driving straight through your town. Any chance that you're at the ranch and you're home and we can meet and talk about things? And it ended up working out. It was so fun. We met with her and her husband, and we walked the ranch. And she originally wanted like a 400 guest count venue.
Mm-hmm.
Two-story. It was beautiful. She had all these architectural plans drawn, all these things. And it's always hard for me when I meet people at this stage because they're so excited and they're on this high of like the dream and taking action in the dream. And I don't ever want to set that back, but I also want to be, the big sister that's like, hey, have you thought of this? We need to watch out for that and blah, 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 right? And so I was like, "Hey, let's go hang out at your house. Let's sit down at the kitchen table, chat
Mm-hmm.
through some things." Um, and we like rolled out all of the architectural plans, looked at everything, and I was like, "Okay, here are a handful of things that I would change just logistically so that things flow better." But the bigger conversation that, we seem to be skipping over because we're just getting to the fun part here is, have you ran a market analysis? What does that look like? Have you ran projections? What is your bottom line? And she's
You
like,
can't have a
Barb.
conversation with Lindsay without being like, listen, market
Yeah.
analysis.
Yeah. And she's like, I'm sure in her head, she was just like, womp womp.
Don't kill my vibe.
Right. I know. I know. So long story short, we ended up doing all the dirty work.
Nice.
Numbers came back not very promising.
Mm-hmm.
So went back to the drawing board, reduced things. I think they went middle of the road at that point and cut things in half, 200 guest count, and funding just wasn't there,
Okay.
right? So
Yep.
now we're getting hit the second time and knocked down. Um, and so I was like, okay, y'all take some time, y'all think about it. And you got to think about the timeline of this. This is over the course of like 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And every time she went back to the drawing board, we would have a conversation and meet a few times. And then go back to the drawing board again and then meet a few times. And each time she would go back to the drawing board, it was like 2 to 3 years in between, right?
Right.
And so the final time she went back to the drawing board, she was like, look, we just know we want to do this. So what if we did this in phases? All of the numbers right now are showing smaller weddings in our area
Mm-hmm.
are what is needed. This is the gap to fill. And so what if we just built like this ultra luxe house that is actually a duplex, and it can, in the middle, there's a giant room for like 50 people to sit down and have dinner. And then they also built a pavilion as well to host outdoor ceremonies if they wanted to, or if the couples wanted to have their reception under the pavilion, then there was plenty of room for that too. And then they also have the overnight accommodations within the duplex. I was like, I actually think this is brilliant. I think
So
it's
smart.
brilliant. I think you're going to have your receipts. You can go, in 2 to 3 years, go back to your lenders and say, like, hey, look, I want to do this thing, but bigger and better. Here are my receipts. I've actually done this. We've been very successful. And I just really love the fact that number one, she took the punches like a champ,
Mm-hmm.
her and her husband, right? And number two, they didn't give up. And it would have been so easy to throw in the towel and say, well, if I can't have the dream, in its entirety, then I don't want it at all.
Right.
And so, anyway, I've just always been super, super proud of them for persevering and pivoting and just going after it, no matter what it looked like. And they were committed to the journey and not the end goal. Um, they're doing really well. Construction officially is done.
It's amazing.
They're doing all the finishing touches, all the little touch-up paint, hosting tons and tons of tours, booking. They're doing wonderful.
That's
And
incredible.
they're intentional about serving a very specific audience that, quite frankly, most venues don't want. They
Yeah, well,
want
and they
they
can't
want the
have
big.
because they
Right.
are they built in a certain way where it's like, listen,
Yeah.
we've got to have these headcounts in here.
Yep. Yep.
And I think too that that is such an intentional that's an intentional decision on their part, your client's part, to serve a certain sector of the market where I bet their marketing is so easy. Not easy from the perspective of driving traffic, but it is
Yeah.
easy from the perspective of the creation of the actual, like the actual creative part. Like, who are we talking to? You know what I mean? Like when you have a venue like mine, it's 200 people, it's a
Right.
white barn, it's pretty standard on the inside. And you guys, this is just me being self-aware. I love my venue, but it's, I'm like,
Yeah.
like I really, and I'm a marketer. I struggle with the messaging, the actual creative. Who am I actually talking to? And I have so much respect for them. And I think too, the other thing I have a lot of respect for is I feel like we've gotten a little more away from this now because funding is not there. It's not quite it's not quite the journey people thought it was, but I do feel like we had a couple of years there, Lindsay, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, where it was like I can't swing a cat and not hit someone who doesn't want to build a venue because they think it's like an ATM machine,
Mhm.
and that it's a cash cow, and we
Right.
want the biggest and the best and the baddest, and the more head count, the better, and all of this stuff,
Yep.
and that's what they wanted, and it was like if it can't be this size, we don't want to build or we're not going to make money. And I think that we've sort of gotten away from that attitude of like, no, listen, becoming a venue owner is actually a lot of work. That is a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not, I don't think it's quite the fairy tale people thought it was. So I love to see
No.
people like your client who are like, no, we believe in this industry. We really want to do this. These are the people who are going to be successful because it's not just like, oh, I just want to park my money somewhere, or I think I'm just going to make, $5 million in the
Right.
first 2 years in my personal bank account. So I guess I'm a venue owner now.
Right, right.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and to your point, it is. I say this like tongue in cheek, but there is truth to it, and that's being unless you are truly in it just an investor, right? Like you're in it for the
Right.
equity, you're in it for the long haul. Um, you're not an owner operator. If you are an owner operator, you're doing manual labor every day, is what it is,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
manual labor and customer service are
Hmm.
the top two. And there's so many venue owners that get into this with rose-colored glasses, which good on you, right? Like sometimes that's all that's carrying us through. So I'm not telling you to take those off, right? But and I'll give you an example. I have two, so I'm also doing acquisitions now. So what I have found in my talk track, what I'm saying is like I'm your start guy and I'm your end guy, but I'm not doing anything in the middle. Like I'm
Love.
not good at marketing, I'm not good at teaching you marketing, I'm not good at like managing all of that stuff. Like I'll teach you all the things in the beginning, you go do it, you go scale it, and then come back to me when you're ready to sell, right? But I have two listings right now, one in Washington State and one in Texas. Both got into the game thinking, I'm going to build this incredible venue business. One ran out of funds. One realized, holy shoot, this is a lot. Right?
Yes.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not built for this. But he can see the vision. So he's
Relatable.
like, yeah, he's like, I see it. I know that it will work here. I just don't want to be the guy to execute on it.
Yep.
Like, I'm tired already. So, and respect for those guys too that recognize that and are ready to get out and hand it off to somebody else that can really pour into it and take it where it needs to go. So,
100%.
Yeah, yeah, I do. I think what it boils down to is I just have a whole lot of mad respect for the people that make the hard decisions that nobody else wants
Yes.
to make.
Whichever ones they are. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, like listen, we're not gonna we like the current client that we were kind of talking about at the beginning, whether it's I know that this is like this initial vision, like I'm fine with plan D because this is actually where we're supposed to be. This is amazing. Not everybody has that
yeah,
grit. They just don't. It's just
right.
like, oh, I give up because it's hard. You guys, this is a multi-year
Yeah,
conversation, a multi-year back to the drawing board. This isn't like in 6 months, I'm a venue owner. I just want to get started right away. You know what I mean? That's when you make bad decisions.
yeah,
I should know.
yeah,
But, and then, or the other people who get into it and they're like, this is actually not what I thought. And so I'm not going to try to like fit a square peg into a round hole. I'm actually going to pass it
yeah.
off to the person who has it. This is a total sidebar, but I was reading an article from a photographer the other day who got out of the wedding industry. I can't remember their name, but I was the title of this blog post. I can't remember if this was like the title or they just put it in there. And they were like, "Is our weddings a young person's game?" Do you feel that way? Do you feel like venues are a young person's
Bro,
game?
yes. No, okay, venues,
I was
no,
like,
because
I feel called out right now, and I don't
I
disagree,
know.
honestly.
I know. Well, here, okay, so just to riff off of you for a second, when I was doing wedding planning, I
Yes.
had like she was I wouldn't necessarily call her a mentor. It was more of like a friend in the industry, but she had been in it much longer than what I had. And
Hmm.
so she told me this, and then I had several venue owner friends that told me that had been in the industry for quite a while.
Hmm.
But they every basically the point that they were making was as soon as you become a mom, you'll be done planning weddings. And I was like,
Oh.
no, I love it. I love my clients. I love the camaraderie within like your A team that comes in on a wedding day and like all your vendor friends are there. And
Mhm.
like, I don't even have to like run over there and tell them what I'm thinking. Like, we've got hand signals down. Like, we're on our headsets. Like, it's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna want to get. And then I became a mom.
Ah,
I was like, I miss my baby.
yes.
And so
Golly.
that's when I was like, you know what? Like something's got to change. Like I can't my family is home on the weekends because my husband worked a normal corporate job and that's the weekend, as you know, is when weddings happen. And so I was gone. We were never seeing each other. Thankfully, that's when venue consulting really took off. But anyway, to answer your question, I think in some professions,
Yes.
I think it is built for the young. I think planners are built for the young. I think photographers are built for the young. But like a big part of it is keeping up with trends.
It is. And I feel like young people are into that. I do feel like
Yeah,
venue owner. Okay. Let me preface this by saying venue owner operator,
yeah,
I think, is built for the young. So like venue
yeah.
owner, absentee owner, not operator, investor, ageless. But like I'm an owner operator, and like 28-year-old Kinsey is a hell of a lot different than almost 40-year-old Kinsey. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's definitely truth to that. And then I think about my previous clients. Their names are Jim and Jane. They're salt of the earth people, and I
I
love them
love
so
them
much.
already because their names are Jim and Jane.
I know, I know. They're just
Fun.
incredible. So she was actually in a past life, she was a surgeon, owned her own clinic, and
What?
she got married. Her and Jim got married, and then Jim ran her practice for her. Like he was the like manager or whatever. Super, super smart. He handled like implementing all of the tech things.
Wow.
And so anyway, obviously high stress job.
Yes.
Also high paying job. And
Yes.
so when they came to me, this was like 2017. They came to me and they were like, "Hey, I need to make like this level of income, but like way less stress. Like we want to have fun, we want to enjoy life. Like this has been really stressful." And so they built a wedding venue and we worked together for like 3 or 4 years off and on.
Hmm.
They recently came back and wanted to just be like, hey, we don't know if we want to sell. We just want to have a conversation. What does it even look like?
Hmm.
And so we were just catching up, and they're not selling, but we were just catching up. And I was like, okay, so who all have you hired? What are y'all doing? Are y'all traveling and all this stuff? And they're like, girl, we're still working weddings. And I
Mhm.
was like, what? But
Mhm.
they love it. They love it. They're like, the Jimmy Buffett people that are obsessed with Jimmy Buffett. What are they called? Parrot heads? Is that what they're called?
Probably. I don't know,
Okay.
but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So anyway, they're like those people, like they love going to concerts and partying
Oh, I
and
love
like,
this. So they're into
yes.
it.
And
They're
they
hospitable.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, they're very hospitable and
Yes.
everybody loves them. Like everybody that
Yes.
comes on site, they just love them. They want to be best friends with them.
Because
And so,
weddings are not life and death. Like
right.
Dr. Jane
They
has
truly do have fun
actually,
with it.
yeah, Dr. Jane has
Mhm.
actually experienced life or death. So she has had an opportunity to be like, oh, this is nothing. And
Yeah.
whereas us non-doctors are like, no, our couples actually think this is life or death.
Yeah. And so do we because we are tired.
Because we're freaking out.
Yes, yes.
I
But
love
anyway,
them
so,
so much.
you
So they're
know,
hospitable and amazing.
oh,
Jim and Jane.
yes.
See, we all need
Yes,
Jim
just
and
the
Jane.
best people. I know. I know. Everybody I truly do think like everybody needs to know them because they're just that great. But we try to slap labels on things
Yeah.
and do stereotypes and then I have people like them that I think of that immediately come to mind. I'm like, well, I don't really actually know if that's true. Maybe for the majority, maybe that's the norm, but there's always outliers.
It's so true. Okay, so I have a question. If you are, we heard about your clients, they specifically built this niche venue. They had to get there through a series of unfortunate events. Not unfortunate, but you know what I mean. That's a book title, so I was
Sure.
trying to be funny. Sorry. Um, it made it weird. So through a series of events, they get to be niche slash, micro venue owners. They're doing amazing. I love this story. What are your thoughts? Because we kind of talked about this offline. What are your thoughts when a venue owner comes to you who has a venue like mine and they are like, listen, we are in a situation where we think we need to adjust our business model, or we think we might want to start marketing in a different way to a more intentional type of couple. We just, you mentioned earlier in the episode the barbell economy, which is very true. Like you either need to be budget or luxury, like the middle is dying.
Yeah.
And it's almost dead, to be honest. And so,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on the middle venues who
Mhm.
did well for many years and they
Yeah.
need to decide, or they feel like they need to decide? Like, what are you telling people right now?
Well, everything is on a case by case basis, you
Agreed.
know. I really don't. What's the saying? You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Is that the appropriate analogy? Anyway, I don't know. But
I don't know, but I feel sorry for the water and the baby. Kidding.
anyway, I don't think that was the appropriate analogy, but for some reason that's what popped into my head.
It was
Um,
actually.
okay, well, my point is like everything needs to be done on a case by case basis. What
Love
I
this.
don't like to see is when venue owners that serve median budgets they come to me and they're like, "Hey, we're not booking anymore. Tell me what I need to do to keep up with the new kid on the block." Like they built this
Mm,
gorgeous chapel, or they have this amazing greenhouse, or they have all of these lush gardens, or like whatever the physical thing is, they want to dump a ton of money into their existing property that is already struggling just so that they can compete with the new kid on the block. And I don't necessarily think that that's the best approach. I think you go back to the numbers, you pull the data, and you look at the numbers from there. Like, just because whenever you're a startup, every single startup needs a market analysis.
mhm.
Before you ever do anything, it needs a market analysis. A lot of people think that, okay, well, I've been going at this for 5 years. We're doing great. And I already ran a market analysis 5 years ago. I'm good. Like, check that box, right?
Yes.
You should be running a market analysis at least every 2 years,
Yes.
at
At least.
least, if not annually.
Hmm.
There's just, there are so many variables now that affect all the things. And it goes back to the fact that I will always advocate and respect the business owner that looks at the unsexy things, that does the hard work and looks at the things that aren't flashy and pretty and makes business decisions based on that.
Yes. And if you are not hearing what we're saying, I mean, the reality is that like what Lindsay just said, when she's saying that it is a case by case basis, I think just to shine the light on it is like everything we say on this podcast isn't going to be for you.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that,
Yeah.
I think we've been pretty good over the years about that. Is that like, listen, take what's good for you, leave the rest. What I get kind of nervous about is seeing coaches, consultants, what have you, like this is the path. This will work for
Right.
you because it works for my venue. And that makes me nervous because I'll tell you what, our markets are so different.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
the clients are we're serving are so different. Your venue, even if it looks similar to mine or mine looks similar to yours or what have you, we are still serving such a different audience. Even we could even be in the same state and our audience is different. And so that kind of makes me nervous. And so, Lindsay, I just wanted to shine a light on that and what you said. Like it just is a case by case basis. You don't
Yeah.
know what you need until you know. While you're booking, you might have a drain. I mean, I'll just be super transparent right now. I have a massive drain and a massive leak between my website and my inquiry form. And I am currently trying to put those two things together and plug that leak because I can't find it yet. And I've been working through what did Lindsay say, all the numbers, looking at all of my website traffic because I have massive website traffic and it's not converting into it's not converting into enough inquiries for me to of course then convert into leads and tours, right? And bookings. And so I have this massive drain right now. And so, you know, that's my problem. My problem is that it isn't that I need to be a micro wedding venue. My problem is that I have this drain, but I wouldn't know that unless I looked at the actual numbers. So,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry. Just, I love when you tell people the real and that what I say is good for these people, but you actually need to understand what's really going on in the back end of your own business before you like try to grab onto all these shiny things because, you know, we're getting new venues all the time in my area. But again, it's not my problem. My problem is on the inside. It's in my own house. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's speak practically, like some takeaways for people
Yes.
today. And I think we'll break after this, and then we'll do a part two in talking about the second trend that we wanted to dive into today. But practically speaking, if you are hurting right now, if you're an established venue owner and you're hurting right now, I think you need to ask yourself some hard questions, and you definitely need to run a market analysis. You need to pull as much data as you can. So, what are some reports, Kenzie, that you have pulled in your own business to look at?
Yeah. So pull these reports, you guys. Pull your unique website visitors. Unique. I'm going to say that one more time. Pull the unique website visitors because that is individual human beings. That is not your total website visitors because that will keep calculating the same person who keeps coming back. So unique is really important because that is every individual person only one time. Then I want you to pull how many views per page you're getting on your website. Like, what are your most attractive pages? Is it pricing? Is it your contact page? Is it your about page? What does that look like? What are those most important pages? And then what actions are you asking people to take on those pages? So if you, like me, if you are having a really big disconnect between, wow, I'm getting a lot of unique website visitors, but they are not resulting into contact form, why? Look for where, like, do you have too much information on your site? Do you have not enough actions on your site? Is your book a tour button in the upper right hand corner and it's only the size of a dime? What does that look like for people? Is it hard for them to know what the next steps are? The other report I want you to run is you need to know since year to date, so January 2026, or if you want to do a 12-month calendar, that's fine with me, or you can just do year to date. It's sort of six one way, half dozen the other at this point. You can run a year to date or a 12-month calendar report that says, this is how many leads I got. These are
Mhm.
the numbers you need to know. How many website visitors? Pull that on the back end of your website. Your CRM system, if you have a CRM form embedded onto your website, will show you how many leads you got. And then you need to compare those leads. CRM system will do this as well with those. How many tours did I book from those leads? And then final number, final report. How many of those tours resulted into booked weddings? Those are, you need
Yeah.
to run all of those numbers. I'm thinking of a really sweet client I had, just a one-time coaching call, who was like, we booked,
Mhm.
you know, I'm not going to say the number just for visual, like privacy purposes, but like we booked X amount of weddings, but I want to book X amount of weddings. And I'm like, okay, cool. How many leads did you get? I don't know. Okay. go look that up. Okay, so we figured that number out, and I was like, okay, you got as many leads as weddings that you want to book. You're gonna have to triple that. Like you don't know your math until
Mhm.
you know like what is the wedding industry converting at like 2 to 4% right now. That's like a pretty healthy number as far as website visitors to leads and then leads to booking, or leads to booking should be like 75% plus plus, right? But your website
Mhm.
conversion is a big deal. So how are you driving all that traffic to convert 4% to contacting you? So if you want to book 20 weddings, well, you've got to have, 120 leads. And then of that, 50% need to come in as tours. So those are all the numbers you have to run in order to say, why am I hurting right now? What's going on?
Yeah.
And what am I going to do with these numbers after that?
Yeah, and if you really, really like numbers, I would also run a pricing analysis in
Yes.
conjunction to a market analysis because here's the thing, inflation is like the slow creep and death of every business. It's not specific to the wedding industry, it's across the board. So you need to be running a pricing analysis and know exactly what your bottom line is just to turn the lights on in your venue and host a wedding. The other thing that I was going to mention, if you like data, even if you don't, this is one of those times that maybe you just need to suck it up and do it. Get your Google Analytics and run all of that and find that out. I learned this from Kinsey a couple of years ago. Um, I was really, really bad at just like, you know, stuff on Google, but not actually using it as a tool to look at data and reports and stuff. And so she actually told me the stats and stuff that I needed to look at. Do you remember what all those were?
So, in your Google Analytics, if you have this will kind of this will be applicable if you have analytics connected to your website. So unfortunately, if you don't, none of this will matter to you. But if you do, then you can get into Google Analytics and you can see a couple of things. So you can see time on site, which is overall how much time are people spending on your site. That's a big deal. You can also see time per page. So this is really important when it comes to like your pricing and information page. Are they spending 20 seconds on it, which immediately means they don't understand how much they're going to be spending with you? Or do they spend 2 minutes and 30 seconds? That's awesome, right? The other thing that you can see, and you could actually see this, you can see this like overall website on most website builders now, like Squarespace, Wix. Like I can see my overall website bounce rate on but on the back end of Squarespace, which is my website host. But when I get into my analytics, I can see my bounce rate per page. And that's really important for me because bounce rate is like I land on this page on your website and then I leave or not. And so bounce rate is like if I'm coming from Pinterest, for instance, and I hit your pricing page and then I immediately bounce off, well, I have an 89% bounce rate, and that's not good. You want less than 50% typically. The lower the number on a bounce rate, the better. Let's say that. So whatever your bounce rate needs to be is it's kind of depends on the page, right? So if you bounce off of my about page, I don't really care about that because it's just about my team. But if I see I have an 89% bounce rate on my pricing page or my contact page, you guys remember I said I have a major leak between my website visitors and my leads, then that's an issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
You can also take a look at your SEO. I work with an incredible website designer, and this is a little bit of a sidebar, but, and I don't know if you have seen this, but I have found that like in website designers, there is the creative guys that like can build this most incredible, most beautiful website that you've ever seen. And
Yeah.
then there are the ones that are SEO smart and the websites aren't quite as pretty, but they will perform, right? Like they're going to show up number one
They'll
all day,
perform
every day.
traffic wise.
Right, right, right,
Yeah, yeah,
right, right,
yeah.
right. Searchability.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so it's incredibly hard to find a company that serves both.
Both.
Like, you know, like
Hmm.
for the creative, pretty ones, it doesn't do you any good to have a beautiful website that nobody sees because they can't find it because it's not optimized for SEO or GEO now that AI is like taking over the world.
Fair.
Um, right. So, but anyway, I found this incredible website agency that is the perfect blend of both. They're called Whitestone Marketing if you want to look them up. Um, they you will get what you pay for, I'll tell you that. So just to be prepared. But what I gained from them, they actually use an SEO optimizer because they have a lot of clients that come to them that already have a website and they're like, it's just not performing. We don't know why. So I looked up this website and it's open to everybody. Anybody can use it. It's not just like the fancy website building
Yeah.
teams, but it's called, we'll drop the link in the show notes, but it's SEO Optimizer. Um, and we'll drop the link just in case anybody is interested in looking that up for themselves and kind of trying to DIY their own SEO.
That's incredible. I love that. We'll put both of those in the show notes, you guys. So SEO Optimizer and Whitestone Marketing so that you can look that up. That is such a good point. It's challenging sometimes to balance the visual that our industry needs with the SEO that our industry also needs.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about SEO, one report that you can run, we talk about this all the time, you guys, but I just feel like this is still an issue, and I'm raising my hand here too because of course I was running all the reports when I was like, oh my gosh, this leak is insane. Um, the issue, but a huge issue I see is that people don't know where their traffic comes from.
Yeah.
And that is a really big deal. Like I see I talk to clients who are out there killing themselves on Instagram and it's like 3.9% of their traffic.
Mm,
When direct, so people searching for them,
mhm.
SEO, direct traffic is 61%. Or you know what I mean? Like these are real
Yeah.
numbers. But they're out there killing themselves trying to understand the Instagram algorithm. You guys, those are real numbers from a real wedding venue. And I'm like, why don't you just put $100 a month on Google ads? Because you have like that's $1,200 a year. And you could like
Yeah.
not even look at Instagram if you don't want to. It's 3.9% of your traffic. Who cares?
Right.
As far as, you know what I mean? Like, it's not saying don't ever look at it ever again, but as far as like focusing on what matters in the moment, as if your venue's hurting, that
Mhm.
3.9% is what does not matter. The
Right.
61% matters, but the
Yes.
3.9% doesn't. So stop killing
Yeah.
yourself over TikTok and Instagram and figure out like, oh, my traffic is all coming from Facebook. My traffic is 61% Google. My traffic is 61% Pinterest. And get moving either in create content and I prefer slight paid options. And just double your
Yeah.
effort in what's working and see how it goes from there. And please, like, it makes me so sad. And I just want to give them a hug. Like, stop killing yourselves over this dumb 3%. It is
Yeah.
not worth it. And
Yeah.
immediately when they know that, they're like, it's like permission. You know what I mean? Which we all
Uh-huh.
need. Hell, I
Yeah,
want permission from
100%.
Lindsay all the time. Like it's permission. Like, get off Instagram. Like spend 3 months on Google, Facebook, Pinterest, whatever it is. Combine
Yeah.
that with consistent content every single day and $100 a month in paid ads. And obviously you have to manage those ads, adjust them. That's a learning curve. Don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying it's easy, but then you're only looking at one thing every single day instead of 16 things every single day and only two of them matter.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, what a luxury to only have 3% of your audience coming from Instagram and the bulk of it coming direct. Like what a luxury.
What
Like
a
I would love it if somebody
luxury.
came to me and was like, "You can disappear from Instagram forever because all your traffic is coming from Google."
Well, I'll tell you a
Thank you.
story offline about that.
Yeah, we should totally.
All
I
right,
pop
you
up on
guys.
Instagram every once in a while, but that's it.
I know, same.
Yeah.
Lindsay, anything else to add?
No, you can definitely tell we haven't recorded in a while because we're just like word vomiting on and spinning off on all of these little things that could all be their own episodes. We will expand in future episodes, you guys. We are going to talk about the nature of the podcast moving forward in another episode, but for the immediate next one, we're going to continue the conversation on niche venues and current trends and how that is actually transpiring in real time right now with real wedding venues in the next episode. So, thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here, you guys. We're happy to be back. We love you guys. As always, I am Kinsey Roberts.
And I'm Lindsay Lucas. Together we are the Venue Podcast. See you next time.
Catch you next time, guys. Bye.